Sheep, great episode. Gather round, taka. Wherever you've been, settle in.
Welcome back to the BHHcast.
We have a great BHHcast episode. I am Jamie Bendel, Jamie Hernan, Adam.
What? Bring that back! Haig.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I still kind of want to complain about that, but that was actually pretty good, so I'm good with that one.
Yeah, you got to bring that back.
That was good. Yeah. But next time,
we're going over the top.
My name maybe just a little bit more, like maybe just like can we just put like an accent in it so that just maybe we'll go like just something that's just like a little bit. Well, maybe
Hernan.
Or like an exclamation point.
Yeah, like
Bonjour, Jamie Hernan.
Like when people say Tarjay.
Yeah, he is Hernan. Maybe you could play soccer.
Jamie Hernan.
Hernan. That sounds like a soccer player name.
Hernan.
Yeah. Okay,
that wasn't exactly what I meant, but just something that just kind of tells the sheep that I'm here. That I'm.
Yeah, good luck with that.
They know you're here.
They know you're here. No one misses you.
They know you're here.
I know, but
I mean, no one misses you.
It's the they know you're here.
All right. So what are we doing today?
All right. So listen, this week is a challenging week for me.
Okay, what's going on?
I love professional football season.
Me too.
And as we're recording this episode, we are in the week that ends with the last game of the professional football season.
Can we just have a rule right now? No TV talk. Can we just no TV talk? Nobody wants to talk about TV.
Yeah, that's not going to work. So back to you where you were on the football thing.
It's just I look forward to it.
So you're talking about the week after the end of the season before the...
Well, for one, you can't say...
I just did.
That's this. So every time it's going to get cut out. So I was saying...
just said it again and again?
It's the last week of the football season. For me,
yeah,
I don't really... I get a little
so you're
excited.
Talking about the week before this... Bring it! I dare you! Sue my pants off!
No. So anyway, it's the end of the football season.
Yep.
And it always bums me out a little bit. Because I do like the ritual of Sunday's going to be here, and I schedule my day a little bit differently, even though my team didn't perform particularly well this year. It's just you kind of go into this lull period.
There's a seasonality to life, and it's marked by these events. Yeah.
CFL, arena football doesn't cut it for you?
I've watched both, and I will watch other non-professional versions of not saying CFL and Arena League aren't professional, but it's not the granddaddy.
It's not the big show
of the professional teams, sports.
It doesn't really cure that itch.
Not in the same way that regular Sunday team I've cheered for, most of my adulthood, and so this is a weird week, and my team isn't in it, so I'm kind of following the storylines, but I'm not necessarily engaged because of COVID. Everything feels like it's a little bit off anyway.
Yeah,
I don't
especially this game because there's no good storylines whatsoever to talk about.
There are storylines. There are always storylines.
No, not in this one.
They still talk about them.
I know, but there's nothing going on this one that's of any consequence.
Let's move on. Let's just move on.
Just keep moving?
Yeah, just keep moving.
All right, so here's my question.
Because the Brady bashing across the table gets out of control, but no.
But have you ever had an opportunity to see the last football game of the professional season in person?
I have, actually. I've been lucky enough to go to two. But I've been lucky enough to go to those games.
Okay, so this is always my question. And I know it's a recurrent one, and it's maybe not necessarily but it's always one that I struggle with.
I do figure that with Bendel's usual lock on elitism in this podcast, that he'd be the one saying he had, but now we're shifting the elitism to Haig.
Yeah, this is maybe the only thing I am elite about. I can't believe I've had the opportunity to go to two.
Well, so I think I would prefer, like when I go to games, and I've been to a number of professional football games, I don't, it's not the same as being able to watch it at home. I don't enjoy it. It's in fact my least favorite professional sport to go to in person. Even though it is my favorite professional sport, it's my least favorite one to go to in person.
Worse than golf.
You want the commentary, you want the different angles.
I would never go to golf in person, although I've been several times.
Okay.
Yes.
So is football worse than golf? Golf's worse.
Golf is okay because you're walking around, and it's in person.
Yeah.
But I don't know who. I mean, honestly, I would tell you who I followed around and where I followed them around, and it would just cater to the negative influences that Jamie would have.
Yeah.
Like Tiger at the Masters. But my point is,
so sometimes you don't want to be at the game. Yeah. So sometimes the game.
I think if my
isn't
team
great.
was in the last game of the season,
Yep.
I would prefer to watch it at home.
Yep. Twice I've been to watch my favorite team at the last game of the season, and The first one was incredible. The second one was also incredible. I mean, two of my favorite games of ever.
Okay. After the game, did you get to go out and do after party things?
That's a story for another podcast, probably. But I have.
It's probably a story for your podcast. Maybe this podcast.
Maybe another one.
We can save it for a different time.
Yeah, this is a good story. I have an incredible story about. Actually, both of them had incredible stories attached with them.
Is it because you ended up in jail that you don't want to talk about it?
Here's the great thing about why I'm not an elitist. It's because I didn't pay 1 penny
either time,
and I was not a corporate guest. I'll just say that. Like, and so the story. We should continue with the story, but I have never paid $1 for a ticket, and yet I've been to 2 Super Bowls.
Okay.
Not to interject, but you're not really going to open that right now and start
thinking about it. I just wanted to.
He's
pulled out a lollipop. He's got a lollipop that he wants to.
Hear that shit?
Yeah, you can just put that away.
Yeah,
it's a herd coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a lollipop.
Would you like a pet fly?
So I got a great Super Bowl stories. We'll share that. So there's another episode where we finally get to Adam's great Super Bowl story.
Okay, great last game of the season story.
Yes.
I'm just gonna start beeping it. Go ahead and say it. It's just gonna be
Adam's
beep.
Adam's last game. Well, so here's the deal. This year, I kind of want the season to be over.
Yep.
Because it's been disrupted.
Yeah, it's a weird season.
I feel like it's a weird season. Like, I want every professional sport to get through a season and then hopefully reset. And it'll feel like it's more normal. I haven't felt that way with the NBA, quite frankly. They're still doing these semi-attended games or no-fan games, and it just doesn't. I still feel like it's watching guys at the Y.
I'm enjoying the NBA stuff, but that's also because the Utah Jazz are the #1 team in the country right now. But that being said, I do hear what you're saying. It's been a weird year, and I'm glad the Bills kind of got eliminated. For Bills, I was kind of rooting for them, but I would hate for the Bills fans to finally get their and it's the COVID year, right? Like, there's so many asterisks you have to live with as a Bills fan. Anyway, to finally get to the paradise, the nirvana, the moment, I
think they would take any trophy with however many asterisks there are. They would take it.
The Bills?
The Bills, yes.
Yeah, but it's true. They're going to win a Super Bowl soon. They're a really good football team.
Yeah.
But and I think they'll be back close to it next year. But I would say that I would hate for them to have won the COVID year.
Right.
Like, they're going to win a legit Super Bowl. Those fans get to have their parade and feel good about it.
I did see some members of the Bills Mafia after the game when they lost, and most of them were saying, "Oh, thank God we lost, because we would hate to win this during a COVID year."
But did you see the new thing they do with the Bills where they jump on the tailgates? No. So this is like in the the tailgating tradition of the Bills Mafia is to jump off a car onto your tailgate table and smash it. And they had it like in the pregame of the championship game. They showed 20 people doing it, where you just jump into the table and smash it. I was thinking, the Home Depot in Buffalo is just raking it in.
Right? Well, we've got our sponsor that we just brought on, the breakaway tables.
Yeah.
You'll hear about that probably in this episode.
The breakaways. The good news about these ones is you can go ahead, Bills Mafia that thing, bring it right back next week. Yep. Do it again.
You need to go with your Nerf football for your tailgating party. You need your Nerf table.
Yep, and especially up in Buffalo.
Yeah, but don't, because our sponsor is Breakaway Tables, so we don't want to promote the Nerf tables.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying I think that
unless Nerf people pays us more.
We'll definitely just toss the Breakaway tables to the curb.
Not now, because you're paying us.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you know how for so many years the hardware stores and all the rest of it were trying to promote the destruction of anything you would bring to a tailgate?
Oh yeah,
just so they could
everything was
make
disposable.
The fourth quarter of the year,
right,
look better.
Right, absolutely.
All right, so our guest, who we're going to bring on after the break, is someone who has an extraordinary streak of going to the last game of the year for professional football.
More than 2.
I think he's been. I think it may be more than 10. Could be more than 20.
All right, I'm anxious to talk to him about it.
So we'll be back with him. So don't wander too far. Think about what your tailgate is going to be. If you had to pick one tailgate food that you had to eat on a desert island, what would it be?
Burger.
Burger?
I'm a big burger. I love a good hamburger. Yeah.
Jambalaya, Baton Rouge. I'm not an LSU fan. But I am an LSU tailgate fan. Those guys, they do it right.
How about
Gumbo or jambalaya?
I think I'm going pigs in a blanket.
Ooh. Even for an evening game?
I'm on a desert island. I think pigs in a blanket is the way to go.
Okay, but are you just basically any food in the world is a tailgate food for you now?
No, people bring pigs in a blanket to a tailgate.
Have you ever had a pigs in a blanket at a tailgate?
Well, I did go to this elite tailgate one time.
Oh, with the prime rib and the French, yeah. And the pigs in the blanket tailgate.
You're telling me that you go to a tailgate and nobody has pigs in a blanket?
You'd be amazed. There's not even an omelet bar at the tailgates I go to.
Hold on a second.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
No, I
no
go to
Bloody Mary bar? What's going on?
Yeah, my stuff, like some guy brings like charcoal, puts it into basically a can, and then we make like hamburgers on tinfoil. Yeah.
Wrap it up in the tinfoil. And all right, sheep.
Yeah.
Podcast will be back. Don't wander too far. Jamie, Adam.
Hey.
Hey, Adam.
Is this going to be an ad? Because you always hey Adam before you say ads.
We've got a new sponsor, and I thought this one was going to be perfect for you. Weren't you telling me that you always like to body slam tables?
Okay, so hold on a second. That's an exaggeration. I like to body slam tables. I don't always like to body slam tables. Like, I can be a guest. Like, I've been in prestigious homes. I'm not going to break your stuff.
You've told me stories of any party you go to, you find the table, you eyeball it, you know that's the one, and you want to take it out.
Again, not true. Only at outdoor parties will I do a table slam. And I love doing table slams. I'm not going to kid you.
But have you ever injured yourself?
It's hard to say with me if I'm injured or if I'm just, not feeling good. But the truth is, I've been buying a lot of those tables because honestly, I'm not a jerk guest. If I break your table, I'm going to get you a new one.
Well, we've got a sponsor for you. Coming to you is a new product called
Breakaway Tables, the tables that break away.
And if you get your breakaway table, you can body slam that table to your heart's desire and just put it right back together.
Breakaway tables, the tables that break away.
So you're telling me this table comes back?
Well, it's not resurrected. You're going to actually have to put it back together.
Oh, okay. It's like Legos?
It's kind of like Legos. It's more of a
breakaway table, a table that breaks away.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, is there, we got to give our listeners always get the swag because, you use a secret word.
If you use the code BHHcast, you'll get a free coffee table with every full-size breakaway table.
Breakaway tables, the tables that break away.
When you go to that website, be sure to put the space in there after break. There's about 6 spaces and then away.com.
Table la broca la tabla. Andale.
Not a real product.
Hey, sheep, you like to party. You like to jump on the table. Get yourself a breakaway table. Get it today.
All right, sheep, gather back around. It is time to introduce our guest for this episode. I am very excited to introduce a good friend of mine, comedian Craig Gass. Craig, welcome to the podcast.
I'm excited to dive into whatever we're going to do. I don't know what it's going to be. I just know it's going to be fun.
We're going to have a good time in this conversation. Before you got on with us, Craig, we got talking about the very last game of the football season, professional football season. And
the big game, the
big
super
game,
one,
as some people call it. And I was actually saying, I think of all of the people that I know in my life, you are the person who has attended the most big games.
Yeah, every year I usually go and interview the players on both teams, and I get silly content, fun, silly content. And I've made so many friends in the media over the years and in every major market around the country that I then take that content and I send it to my friends who are at all the different formats of radio in that market, all the TV stations, and give them exclusive, silly content that I get from the players. And the Super Bowl is always 2 weeks before my birthday.
Oh.
And a couple years ago, I remember saying to all the players, my birthday in 2 weeks, you're physically intimidating. I'm not. And I wanted to know, how do I look like you in 2 weeks? And the answers I got were, there was a guy from the LA Rams who said, pray to Jesus. Like, he didn't even let me finish the sentence before he said that. But I'm a huge football fan. Love football. So yes, I'm always at the big game every year, and I'm always broadcasting from the media center and having fun.
So how has it changed this year? What's going on with how COVID has impacted all of that?
Well, the media center is something that's active starting on Monday before the big game, and then this year the media center apparently is not open until Thursday, which is crazy to me. At the beginning of the week, I'll walk into the media center, and I have tons of friends who are broadcasting. It's mostly sports stations from all over the world, and they'll ask me to join them and say, hey, can you come on and pretend to be a celebrity so it sounds cool back in Des Moines or back in Boise where we're broadcasting to? And the only remotely sports guy that I can do an impression of is Tom Arnold, who used to host the Best Damn Sports Show, period. And when I come on, I will come on as Tom Arnold saying things that Tom Arnold would say. And they'll say, well, hey, we're live from the big game here in Tampa Bay, and we're being joined by Tom Arnold. Tom, what's going on? How's your visit so far? Oh, man, it's great. I've been here for a couple days. A lot of big celebrities are coming into town, and I will just start naming any sports guy I can think of off the top of my head and attach them to an addiction. And every year, Tom Arnold will fight the internet, and people will come at him and say, hey, asshole, it's supposed to be anonymous, and he'll fight everybody and say, hey, did you notice that Sam Kinison was also on the broadcast? That guy's been dead for 20 years, you idiot. Shut up. That's a comedian. He's doing an impression. It's not even me. And he fights everybody to try to clear the air.
That's awesome.
And it's a lot of fun because although those first few days might be slow, when Thursday and Friday hit, it is Celebrity Central. It's every major sports star, TV stars. Sandler goes there a lot. He'll show up at the media center. Chris Rock has been there. Kevin James. A lot of big comedians will show up as well. It's fun. It's the mecca of pop culture every year.
So, Craig, one of the questions that we ask all of our guests, and you've introduced a little bit of it, I think, is, but your answer may be a little bit different, is for you, what would you say is your calling card?
My calling card, the thing that's always separated me from other comedians is my ability to do voices. It's not something I wanted to do originally because I realized early on that comedians don't think fondly of people who do impressions. And I had a comedy club owner say, well, it's because when people do impressions, there's not a lot of originality behind it. If you do something original, you can separate yourself from the pack. And I've always been able to do any voice that I hear because of how I grew up. My entire family is deaf. My mom, my dad, and my sister are all completely deaf. And growing up in a deaf family, I couldn't learn how to talk from my family. I learned how to talk by copying all the voices I heard on TV. And I never got an accent from the Bronx, which is where I'm from. Mm-hmm. And everybody in the Bronx, I always say, sounds like Tracy Morgan. Everybody in the Bronx talk like this, whether you black or white, male or female. It's crazy. Hey, this is the voice of your next door neighbor, and I'm a Vietnamese girl. That's crazy. Like everybody sounds like that. Yeah. So the weirder the voice, the easier it is for me to do it. And I've always had a knack for doing voices because of that. And that led to radio and the Howard Stern show. And then after that, voiceover work, Family Guy, American Dad, et cetera, et cetera.
So you really had kind of a pretty, that ability that you have that isn't necessarily something that you would have recognized but for the circumstance you found yourself in, right?
Yeah. I was always mimicking people on TV, and I was a very weird kid. Everyone in my family was using sign language to communicate. So to speak, I was speaking like everybody I heard on TV. So yeah.
Craig, with all of your experience in radio and media, do you normally find that the hosts that can intermittently cough like every 30, 60 seconds are the most sought after?
I swear to God, I'm going to kill you in your sleep. I'm going to kill you in your sleep.
You're going to wake me up because when you come in, you're going to cough.
You better not go to sleep because I'm going to kill you in your sleep.
I have to say, over the years, I've always taken it as a tremendous amount of pride that when friends of mine want to start a podcast, they want me to be their first guest. This is the first time that I've ever joined somebody for what is clearly going to be their last episode of a podcast. So this is kind of neat. You hear it like, wow, I've done a bunch of first podcasts, and this is
No,
This
he
looks
is
like
a sound
this is the
editor's
Q.
nightmare. You could literally, he would be quiet, doesn't cough, isn't making any noise, and then literally
As
becomes
soon as we turn on the switch.
like a Phil Spector record of sound. It is a wall of
I
noises.
just asked for my dressing room to
Yeah.
have water. There's no fucking water
Yeah.
anywhere
Yeah.
in this
You're
place.
gonna
2 weeks ago, he showed up in like a nylon windbreaker.
And they didn't like that either.
Every time he moved, it sounded like
It was a hurricane.
We were
Let's go to
literally,
our weather report.
yeah, trying to wrap somebody
Yeah.
in plastic the entire time.
Keep saying not the big game.
All right, so
Sound editor's nightmare.
I actually wanted to talk about something, and you and I haven't had a chance to speak about it, but you did actually something very interesting in 2020. You each day posted a different real story about something that you were grateful about in your life.
Yes, I turned 50 in February, about to turn 51 in 2 weeks, and I had a heart attack 18 years ago, drug induced, and it really was a moment in time. I've always been grateful. I've always been the person who tells you I love you. I've always been the person to tell you how much I care about you and how much I appreciate you. I've just always had an appreciation for life. But when I had my heart attack, and then I had to go into recovery, I became very aware of the fact that I'm living on borrowed time. I know that. I'm aware of that. And I've always been in shock that I get to do something that's so much fun. I'm head over heels in love with comedy, and I know that you know this. When I come into town, I like to come into town a week early and do as much press as possible. I love to make friends with local media and build on those relationships every couple of years and keep selling more and more tickets. But my evenings, I go to open mics. I like to be around comics. And I decided when I turned 50 to write a thank you letter to a different person who had a positive impact on my life. And I found myself in some pretty crazy situations.
I've read them. I mean, I've read them each day when you post them. You have been in some extraordinarily unusual circumstances with some extraordinarily talented and unusual people. Not exclusively, but certainly frequently.
Can I tell you one of them?
Yeah, do it.
I'll tell you one of my favorites. I mean, I've lived at Eddie Van Halen's house. Mitch Hedberg was another roommate of mine. I was on the field of the Super Bowl when my team, my favorite team, the Seattle Seahawks, won the game. I was behind home plate when the Cubs won the World Series, and Bill Murray showed up right behind me, and we did a 5-minute broadcast together, hugging each other and high-fiving each other. But one of the moments that really stands out is, and this is kind of embarrassing, but whenever somebody recognizes me, I get so excited about it that I will talk to people, and I've actually done this many times. I will talk to people until they say, okay, we have to leave. And I go, well, dude,
we're going to shut this down.
You said hi to me. Let's hang out. And I'll make it weird. So I was at a Seahawks bar in Las Vegas when a woman came up to me and said, hey, I'm sorry to bother you, but my husband is your biggest fan, and he's too shy to say hello to you. And I said, well, where is he? Let's go hang out. And I sat down at the guy's table. And I said, hey, man, what's your name? And he said, Bob. And, hey, Bob, I'm Craig. And then you mind if I hang out with you? Yeah, I ended up hanging out with him for the whole football game.
So when you're back in their room, were they like, it's time to go?
Time to go.
Yeah, luckily, Bob has a high tolerance for me, and Bob is a sweetheart. The guy is, he's a special ed teacher. He's morbidly obese, so he's got a lot of health problems. In fact, he tells me at some point in that evening that he was in a coma a few years earlier, and he was in a coma for a couple weeks. And he told me this incredible story about how his wife would come in and spend time with him, and she brought in a boombox one day and played his favorite band on the boombox, and Bob had a physical reaction in a coma, came down his face when she played his favorite band. And I asked him, who's your favorite band? And he said, Pearl Jam. And I said, Pearl Jam's your favorite band? And he said, yeah. And I said, I'm friends with one of the guys in Pearl Jam. And he said, oh, I know. I watched your Facebook page, man. You get to do a lot of cool stuff. And I instantly felt guilty for whatever reason. I've just found myself in a lot of cool situations in life. I don't know that I necessarily put a lot of anything into the world to get back the kind of returns that I have. This guy tells me his favorite band is Pearl Jam, and over the next couple of months, every time I come to Vegas, which is about once a month, I call up Bob, I take him out to dinner, and we become friends, and I start to become concerned about his health, and I start asking him, what are you doing to change things around? Like, does your doctor tell you to do anything? Like, are you being told to, like, do you go for walks?
Yeah, right.
And he said, I'd like to. He said, but I'm really tired when I come home because I'm physically lifting kids up every day. So it's hard for me when I get home. I'm exhausted. And I started getting pushier and pushier to the point where it got a little weird, where his wife would kind of jump into the conversation and say, Bob's tired every day. And I'd say, yeah, but for 20 minutes, you can't walk for 20 minutes. And I finally just said, look, Bob, I'll walk with you. I'll go for a walk with you every day. I'll give you a call. Let's go for a walk every day. And he said, would you do that? And I was like, yeah, dude, look at me. I need to go for a walk. Yeah, of course. Dude, when I get home on Sunday, I'll give you a call. Let's go for a walk every day. And we started going for walks every day. Started out 20 minutes, made our way up to 30, then to 60. Around that time, I ran into Mike and Pearl Jam out in Minneapolis. I did a show. Mike came out to my show. Then I came out to his show. His show was in a much, much bigger room. And I told Mike, hey, did I ever tell you about my walking buddy? And he said, you have a walking buddy? And I said, I walk with a guy every day who's morbidly obese. I got to tell you the story. This guy's he's a special ed teacher. The guy was in a coma. And while he was in a coma, his wife played your music for him. And he started crying in a coma to your music. And he was like, wow, that's incredible. I said, yeah. And I would never ask this normally, but the next time Pearl Jam plays in Las Vegas, can I send him to meet you? And he said, of course. And then he started making jokes about, hey, maybe the band will take him for a walk. Well, walk around the building. Yeah. And then, for the next year or so, I'm going for walks every day with Bob. And every once in a while, he mentions Pearl Jam. Like, hey, I heard Pearl Jam might be going on tour soon. And I'd say, Bob, dude, those tickets are really hard to get. I don't know if you'll be able to get in because I'm ramping up to this surprise. I'm gonna blow his brains. Like, dude, you're not gonna believe this. About 4 years ago, I get a call from his wife saying I just gotten off a plane from Green Bay going to another football game, and she said, "Hey, I have some bad news. Bob has 48 hours to live. He had another incident, and he's become septic, and he's got 48 hours to live." And I really didn't know how to react to the news, but by the time I got to bag his claim, I started crying, and then I grabbed my bag, and I just started driving to Vegas. I got in the car and started driving from LA to Vegas, and then it hits me that I didn't get the chance to do something cool for Bob, who deserved it. I didn't get to fulfill this crazy dream for him, and I texted Mike, and I said, hey, dude, I don't know if you remember me telling you a year ago about a buddy of mine, my walking buddy, who's the special ed teacher. You said you would meet him. He's not going to get the chance. I just was told that he has 40 hours to live. I'm on my way to Vegas right now. But I would like to tell you what he would have said to you, because he talks about you all the time. And I started writing what was essentially a fan letter to my friend Mike. And Mike texted me back and said, what's his name? And I said, it's Bob. His name is Bob Miles. And after about a half hour, I got a video from Mike. Then I got another video and another video. And I opened up the first one, and it was Mike with a guitar saying, hey, Bob Miles, this is Mike McCready from Pearl Jam. My friend Craig Gass told me about your situation, and I wrote some music for you that I hope will help you on your journey. So here we go. And I started bawling. And I called up Bob's wife and I said, hey, is Bob, is he conscious? And she said, he's in and out. And I said, all right, well, I'm on my way to Vegas. I'll be there in a few hours, but there's something really important that I'm sending to you right now. He needs to see this right away. Mike McCready from Pearl Jam just wrote music for him, and I'm sending over these videos right now. And I started sending over the videos, and she went to his bedside. She said that he woke up when she came to his bedside and said, Craig's coming to hang out with you. And he nodded his head, and she said, but look, Mike McCready from Pearl Jam sent you some videos. And she said that he sat up in his bed and he had to hold his eyes open because tears were pouring out of his face. And the last thing that Bob saw was his favorite guitarist of his favorite band playing music for him to send him off. And I've had a lot of moments like that in my life that are profound and heavy. And I wanted to do a victory lap to thank everybody in my life who has shown me how to be a better human being.
I'm going to say two things. One's sincere, one's not so sincere. The sincere thing is that I would venture to guess that what you did with, do you want time to cough or you?
Just keep going.
It's
been great. It's been great. I'll see you all.
Thank God.
No, you just.
So I would venture to guess that it was probably, although the Pearl Jam video was wonderful, going for walks with Bob was probably more meaningful in his life than getting him that video from Pearl Jam. The not so sincere thing is I did hear a story about, it was a buddy of ours, and he was in an outpatient center with an ACL tear, and his wife went there and she had a boombox and she played Bendel's Comedy, and a tear went down his a tear went down his face, and he actually self-induced a coma.
Yeah, he actually went into a coma. Yeah. So he reversed Pearl Jammed him. He reversed Pearl Jammed him.
That is amazing.
He drove a guy into a coma.
Yeah, I will say this. There were moments on walks where I would tell him, like, hey, I gotta, just to give you a heads up, I'm going to be a couple hours behind you next week, so I'll be calling you at whatever time, because I'm doing a couple shows opening for Motley Crue next week up in Alaska. And he'd go, you're opening for Motley Crue? And I'd go, yeah, that is pretty cool, right? Like he would reinforce how lucky I was to do what I do. So, yeah, I think for both of us, it was was very enriching to our lives.
Not many comedians are as invested in keeping their fans alive as you are, Craig.
Dude, there's not a ton of them, so it means a lot to me that they're all alive.
But
Listen,
if anybody's listening to this,
tip your waitstaff, and for God's sakes, no more chicken fingers.
Yeah.
Okay, if
Seriously,
I look out here,
and Daryl, maybe drink some water.
Yeah.
but if you're listening to this and you're a fan of Craig's and you have any medical problems, if you reach out to him, he will come by. He'll nurse you back to health.
Trust me, as a podcast with, if we can look out and count our sheep right now, we know what it means to take care of our fans.
Yeah.
We're not going to lose our fans either.
A heavy topic to take the conversation, but that is reflective of what I did every day for 366 days of 2020. And by the way, when I started on January 1st, I had no idea that I was going to be writing thank you letters every day during the year that the world fell apart. The whole world just completely
you did
collapsed.
pick an odd year to start. It was an odd,
Yeah.
but I appreciate it because I needed new stuff to read.
No, and at the same time, this was a year to find gratitude.
All right, before we get to the other, so we have other questions that we need to ask.
Sure.
I do want to make sure that we revisit. If you had one tip about how, if you have the opportunity to be close to the last game of the professional football season, and you find yourself in that circumstance, you're on media row unexpectedly, you find yourself on the sideline and didn't anticipate it, what's the number one way that you need to act or be in order to remain there successfully?
Oh, it's just simply acting like you belong there. I remember a couple years ago, I don't know if it's a good idea to say this out loud, but two friends of mine, Jim Florentine and Don Jameson, had asked me if I was going to a concert at Madison Square Garden and if I had any hookups for it. And I said, yeah, I have a pass. And they said, okay, well, we have passes, but we don't have tickets, I think. That's what the deal was. They needed to get into the building. And I said, oh, that's easy. Meet me outside the building. I'll walk you in. And I met them outside the loading dock at Madison Square Garden. And I said, hey, yeah, follow me. And we started walking up towards security, and a couple security guards started to stand up, and they go, whoa, 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 whoa. And I just said, hey, guys, it's me again. And they went, oh, okay. And I walked past them, and I said, yeah, and these guys are with me. And we walked past them and got in the elevator and started going up. And they both looked at me and said, it's me again? I go, yeah, it works.
Right? Act like you've been there.
Act like you've been there.
You had just given away a secret of great value. It's no longer going to work because all the sheep are going to be using that line.
It's me again. It's not. Yes, it is you. And we're also telling you no this time.
No, me again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, in a previous episode, Craig, talked about the fact that I used to steal gym time from apartment complexes when I didn't belong to a gym. And
that's hilarious.
And I was telling these guys that when somebody would open the door for me, my go-to was, "Oh, are you new here in the community?"
Yeah, like, "Hey, I'm Jamie. Are
like,
you?" I don't think we've met. Are you new?
Live here, or do you? I've never seen you before. Are you new here?
Right.
And they
that is
I'm the president of the HOA.
Yeah. Never assume to ask. So like, you don't live here, dude.
Yeah.
Can I tell you and again, this is a really bad idea for me to say out loud, but can I tell you my proudest moment in those kind of circumstances I've ever had? It was, I believe it was Game 6 of the NBA Finals between the Sonics and the Chicago Bulls. It was the night that Michael Jordan three-peated for the second time. And a friend of mine worked at the Key Arena and said, I can get you in the arena. I just can't get you a seat. And I said, dude, no problem. Just get me in. Thinking that it would not be that big of an issue. But once the game started, it was an issue because I would stand in an entryway to a section and ushers would not let me do it. At every entryway I stood in, an usher said, sir, you got to go to your seat. And I go, oh, yeah, I'm over here. And I go to the next section. Sir, you got to go to your seat. And I started to realize I'm not going to be able to see this game. And I had an idea. I walked towards the exit and I started talking to one of the ticket takers, started shooting the shit with him and said, hey, is it okay to leave and come back in? And he said, only for two reasons. And one at the time, believe it or not, was to use an ATM because they didn't have ATMs in the building yet. And he said, if you need to get an ATM or some other reason, I said, oh, yeah, I need to hit up an ATM. So he's like, okay, yeah. You have your ticket on you, right? And I said, oh, yeah, I got my ticket. And he goes, yeah, just as long as you have your ticket on you. And I walked out, and there was a corner where all the ticket scalpers hung out at. And I walked over and said, hey, who's got one good ticket? And they all swarmed me, and they're all showing their tickets to me. And one guy had a seat that was near the court. He said, I got a seat for you here, man. Section 104, row 6, seat 4. And I was like, how much do you want for it? He goes, $800. You got it right now. 800. And I said, nah, man, I'm not paying 800. He goes, how much do you want? And I said, I don't want to spend 800. And he goes, give me 6 right now. Here, it's your seat. Go ahead. Put it in your hand. Give me 600. Go ahead. Take it and give me 600. I said, no, I'm not paying 600. And he goes, how much do you want? I said, I don't want that much. And he said, come on, 400. I go, nope. And I started walking away. And he's like, come on, man, how much you want to pay? Tell me how much you want to pay. And I was like, I don't want to pay that much. I walked away, went back to the arena, and I looked for that ticket taker. And I walked up, and he said, you got your ticket? And he looked at me, and he said, oh, yeah, come on in. I go, oh, thanks, man. And I walked in, and I said, hey, by the way, do you know where section 104 is? And he goes, yes, 104 is to the right. It's going to be a few sections down. And I went over to section 104. I walked down to row 6, and seat number 4 was empty. And I sat in that seat and watched Michael Jordan for 3 quarters before somebody came to claim that seat.
That's a great way to do it.
Wonder what they paid.
How much did he sell that ticket for in the fourth quarter?
Okay, I know this is your seat, sir, but how much did you pay?
The scalper's still there in the fourth quarter going, okay. Look, man, 50 cents?
Yeah, something? Can you give me anything?
Yeah, you know what's funny is I actually drank beers. I drank a lot of beers before the fourth quarter started, and by the time somebody claimed by the time somebody came down and said, "Hey, you're in my seat," I was so drunk that I was happy to watch a few seconds at a time from each entryway.
Yeah, walking around.
Just walking around the arena, just watch a few seconds before someone stops me and watch a few seconds.
You know what the best part of that story would be is if you found out that the guy who came and claimed the seat was the feature act at the comedy club that week, and because it was the fourth quarter, he had just traded some seats at the comedy show.
That would have been amazing. That would have been
Dude, you're the feature. To be like, I know, it's fourth quarter. I always wait till fourth quarter, and I trade up some seats to the comedy club.
What you got? What you got?
That's hilarious.
All right.
That is
Okay, so I'm going to switch now to the other questions that we've got here for our guests that we normally ask. You're familiar with the concept of a meat and three restaurant?
I am not familiar with that. What is that?
Okay, meat and three, typically found in the South. It is where you have a meat entree, and then you get three sides. So it's your choice of meat and then three sides. So in the way in which we use it in this exercise, what is the meat that you organize your life around? What's the principle, the theory, the fundamental truth?
Oh, it's fun. It's and Jamie, you know this. I book all my shows around the world, around sporting events and concerts. And I want to see my favorite teams play in every stadium around the world. And I want to watch I have a lot of friends in the music business, and so I always want to watch my friends perform in different venues around the world. And I bring friends along who I know are fans of that, whatever that is, so that they can have this awesome experience as well. So it's fun. It's living life, enjoying as much fun as possible.
Now, so the three sides are, what are the attributes that you would like people to most closely associate with you?
You know, that's a weird one for me to answer because I don't care what other people associate me with. Like, I learned early on when I first got my first shot of success and with the Howard Stern show, and I could go into chat rooms and see people saying nice things about me. Like a lot of people, I fell for that trap of wanting to read what people are saying about me. And it started out really awesome across the board because I was a breath of fresh air on the Howard Stern show. And then over time, I would get lumped in with the same kind of criticisms that everybody else did. And I noticed that there were people in my life who, I don't know why, I had no control over it, but there were people in my life who didn't like me. And I don't know why. I genuinely had not done anything bad to those people. They just didn't like me. And those people suddenly wanted to be my best friend. And they wanted to hang out with me. Not only that, a lot of them were trying to tell me that they always knew that I was going to make it and that they were proud of me and that they always believed in me, which was bullshit. And I knew it was bullshit.
Craig, you're the first guest that we've had that just refuses vegetables altogether. You're just like, give me meat. Like, you want to go to those Brazilian restaurants where they just come and shave the meat.
Three? Yeah.
Isn't it? Forget
All
the
entree.
vegetables, just all meat.
All entree, no sides?
Yeah, no sides.
He's an Atkins diet guy.
All right.
Yeah.
It's
So,
only meat.
all right. So, Craig, we do a lightning round where we ask three questions. Each of us asks three questions that we have not seen before. We literally pull them out of a deck of icebreaker deeper talk cards.
We're about to get
Okay.
deep with
Now,
you.
here's what I'd like to do if you're willing to play along.
Okay.
What are your three favorite voices to do?
Let's see. Sam Kinison.
Okay.
Al Pacino. Let's say Christopher Walken.
I've never heard of any of those guys.
All right. So then here's what I'd like to do, Craig. We're going to go. Right. I would like you to answer. We'll go rounds, but would you answer these lightning round questions? Round one as Kinison, round two as Pacino, and round three as Christopher Walken. Is that a deal?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Awesome.
All right.
And by the way, these are deep questions, but it's a lightning.
We're gonna let them
rounds.
go. We have special guest celebrities, but we'll cut. We may, as the answer goes, we may move on to the next question.
You don't
it's
tell
you again.
Sam Kinison.
Keep it short.
Yeah, Pipe down.
You remember me.
All right. All right, Jamie, you start.
So we're not letting the guest decide anymore. So we're just going to let Jamie start. So
if he goes back,
I don't have an opportunity to.
Yeah, if he goes back and
every
listens to
single
season
guest,
3.
ever since we've been doing this, we ask the guest, for you just to make that call unilaterally.
Craig, my apologies. My apologies.
Yeah.
This is, you have the choice. You can choose for Adam to be in this or not.
Yeah. No, the question is,
do you want to go clockwise or
counterclockwise?
Let's do clockwise.
All right.
Well, Jesus Christ, got us to the same place.
All right. So since we were going clockwise,
you want to trade seats, Adam?
Jamie will start.
Go down.
What seemingly insignificant thing contributes greatly to your happiness?
I know you guys are not going to believe this. And I know it's going to sound like a childish answer. But there's something amazing about going home, going back to your hotel room after a show, and having some chocolate milk. Oh!
So good. All right. As a child, what rules were made to be broken?
I think in the grand scheme of things, all the rules must be broken so you can find your happiness. Hoo-ah.
Hoo-ah.
What is a deal breaker for you in a relationship?
If a girl has a weird voice, how?
Go ahead.
Are we going again? Okay.
Yeah.
Another round here. Okay.
That was round 1. Round 2.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad you went clockwise because I like the fact that I'm getting Kinnison every time.
Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe he mixes it up.
No, he's not giving you Kinnison. You're getting Pacino.
I might.
The least of the 3. No offense, Al Pacino. What would you refuse to give up even if you were offered $10 million?
Here to answer the question is Bobby Slayton.
If I had to give it up, I would say that the only thing I didn't give up is my ability to do stand-up comedy, because that's where I'm most happy.
Excellent. What is the biggest mistake you ever made and why?
Biggest mistake I ever made and why is going to be answered by Gene Simmons from Kiss.
I would say the biggest mistake, maybe at the end of the day, might be that I didn't focus on money. And if you want to read more about it, go to kissonline.com and click on my codpiece.
Excellent.
Describe a belief you'd still hold tight even if someone showed you evidence to the contrary.
And here to answer that question is Lars Ulrich, the drummer of Metallica.
I've always had questions about whether or not there's a higher power. And I've always thought that I haven't seen enough evidence of it. Huh? Ha, ha, ha.
All right,
Final round.
Last round. What do you think you'll regret not doing when you're on your deathbed?
Here to answer that question is Morgan Freeman.
I suppose that when that time comes, I hope I have no regrets at all. That should be everybody's goal.
That's amazing. So my last one, what does humanity completely misunderstand?
Here to answer that question will be Tracy Morgan.
You got to have more love in your life. Hug somebody. Put something in somebody's butthole. Show them you love them.
All right. Final question. If people came with a warning label, what would yours say?
Ooh, wow. All right, I'll answer that as myself. Mine came with a warning label. I feel like I answer that very seriously, but I would say have some patience. There's been times when I have made mistakes. I had no idea. I genuinely had no idea until you told me I was making a mistake. And I have made almost every mistake you can have in life. And I genuinely did not know it most of the time. You got to tell me. And once I know, I won't do it again. I want you to know that I'm listening. There you go.
I want to thank Tracy Morgan for really helping us earn that explicit tag on this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This podcast is sexy as hell.
Oh my gosh, you're just amazing.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
All right, man. I thank you. I appreciate it.
That was just amazing.
Hope. Do you have a prediction about the outcome of the game this weekend?
I'm hoping that Tom Brady wins. I'd like to see Tom Brady win. I like the idea of him just being so good. It's tough when he beats your team. You know, when guys like Brett Favre or Tom Brady come along and they always beat your team, there's a certain point, a certain breaking point where you go, you know what? Good for them. I mean, I wish I was handsome and, awesome. I at everything I did, like that. It's just, I say good for him, and I want to see him win it all.
That's right. Someday we'll tell people, people will ask us about the Tom Brady era and that we saw him play, and it'll be great.
Agreed. And I've been very lucky that, sorry to interrupt you there. I've been very lucky that I've been able to talk to him many times over the years at the big game. And I've had some funny moments, not realizing that I have to keep coming up with funny moments. I remember one year asking him, like, how awesome is it to be that handsome? Like, when you look in the mirror, does your reflection ever just look back at you and wink? Like, is it that awesome? And I remember one
all
year
the
saying,
time. Oh,
yeah. And when I said to Tom, hey, Tom, my name's Craig Gass. I'm a stand-up comedian. This is my friend Jason. This is my friend Aaron. And we were ranking the four of us from most handsome to least handsome. And obviously, you're number one because you're Tom Brady. But who would you rank as number 2, number 3, and number 4? And he looked over at me and said, wait, who am I ranking? And I said, me and this guy and this guy. And he goes, all right, fan out. And he made us spread out in formation.
He's like,
and
he's the wife or husband of a supermodel.
I didn't do this consciously. I did this subconsciously. I started sucking in my gut and sticking out my chin for Tom Brady so that I could look more handsome for Tom Brady.
I wanted to be Brady's number 2.
I wanted to be number 2, man. And yeah. And so I want to see him win it all, man. I want to see him win it all.
So do I. I love that guy.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking some time to talk with us here on the BHHcast, Craig, and continued success. Where do people find you online if they want to listen to more of your content and check out, maybe come see you in person when we're allowed to go see comedians in person again?
It's all at getgas.com, getgas with 2 S's.com. There's the links for all the social media there. And, yeah, I won't be surprised if I see this podcast pops up as Craig Gass doesn't know when to shut up. So, sorry.
When you say that website, you really have to enunciate the G, the second G.
Yeah. Gas.
You probably purchased. Yeah, right?
I like it.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks, buddy. Be good.
2 S. All right, buddy. I'll see you guys.
Sounds good. All right, bye-bye. All right, comedian Craig Gass joined us on this episode. I listen, as far as I'm concerned, having the ability to impersonate other voices is such an amazing skill, and I would love to use it, and it always seems like a magic trick. So I'm always fascinated by people who have the ability to mimic other voices.
If I was Craig, I would call it places. I would say, I'm so-and-so, A-list celebrity. My buddy Craig is coming by. Could you do something for him as a favor to me? Right? So Morgan Freeman calls up and says, hey, I know you want to make me, Morgan Freeman, happy. My buddy Craig is coming by. Do you mind letting him into the show? Do you mind giving him a good table at the restaurant?
Your mind immediately goes to evil.
That's why you can't do voices, because you'd be used for evil.
Yeah, it's like the power for evil.
You're like, this is Morgan Freeman. I'd like you to unload all my money in my bank account to my friend Jamie.
Yeah. I know you're running low on those 2-for-1 free chicken entrees.
But I'd like Jamie to get them all.
Yeah, could you set one aside for my friend?
It's not how fun it is or how colorful it is. You're like, how can I get into restaurants?
How can I get additional stuff?
Yeah.
Right?
Anyhow, great guest. Really funny guy.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, amazing stories, too.
And if you find yourself in a circumstance or a place where you don't really belong, do act like you're supposed to be there.
Yep.
That generally seems to be the recurring advice.
Yes.
Me again.
Me again.
Confidence. It goes a long way.
Did you just move in here? Have I seen you here previously?
Are you new?
Yeah.
I'm Adam. Are you new? Because I belong to this channel.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. No, I'm here all the time.
I belong here. You seem like you maybe don't belong.
I haven't seen you before, actually. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm at 10 o'clock, you're at 9 o'clock. I don't know.
Whatever.
But anyhow, nice meeting you.
It's good to see you.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for this. Make sure you rate, like, share, whatever it is that you need to do to spread the word.
Subscribe.
The worst thing to be is the lonely sheep. See you next time, Chief. Taka taka.
Bye.